all the class 9 students, be ready because this video is going to be very helpful to you. Yes, you read it very correct, that all 9 chapters in just video. So the surprise is going to unreveal. Before that, welcome on the platform Diksha Vedantu, and I am your SST faculty Tanvi Ma'am. So beta, as per new NCERT, I have bought one single PDF where you can get all the 9 chapters in a way that it is handwritten by me. Basically, I picked all the important topics that is going to be very helpful for your exams, either it be half yearly or either it be your final exams. Talking about the 9 chapters, beta. So, we have one basic chapter, introductory chapter, that is understanding social science. Then 2 from history, geography, civics and economics. And by the way, I know that you people are scared most of state and society wala chapter and then the election from the civics, right? Political science. Beta, no need to worry that this video is going to be very helpful. We will talk about all the important topics and brief about the chapter. And let's move with the very first one. So, understanding social science, beta, see, I know that somewhere you're not doing that hard work, right? You're not making the notes up till now. And if yes, you are making, then it's well and great, beta. If you are not making, then I am making for you. No need to worry. You can even download this PDF with the help of the link given there in the descriptions. But before that, please have a look at this. When I talk about the chapter understanding social science, beta, a lot more questions are not going to come from this chapter, okay? Because it is just an introduction chapter, but there are certain key terms which we have to understand and memorize very nicely. However, the important topics from this chapter are disciplines of social science, that is history, geography, civics and economics separately. They talk about each of them very nicely. Then why should we study social science? Basically the relevance of social science here, and then the future and the scope of social science, right? The key terms from this chapter is basically empirical records, then we have genealogical records, literary sources, archaeological sources, epigraphic and numismatic sources. So beta, what happened now when we study SST, right? Or when we study history particularly, so to know about history, to know about the events in the past, right? What we use are the sources. Either it be archaeological, that means we dig and find certain things like coins, we find currencies, we find seals, we find buildings, monuments, etc. Or there are times when we found something that records are written, that is literary sources. According to that, it is divided. Like when I talk about genealogical resources, beta, the records that tells us about the lineage, like of the family, of the rulers particularly, that which ruler came after which ruler came after which, and this becomes what? A source of history. This becomes what, beta? A source of history. Numismatic, like it deals with what? The study of the coins we have found by the archaeological sources. Epigraphic sources, that means whatever is written, embedded, engraved on any of the hard surface, be it be pillar or any piece of rock, any hard surface, right? So any inscription written, when we study that, that is known as epigraphic sources. So this is all about the very first chapter. Moving towards the second one, that is the shaping of the earth crust, right? Beta, the all important topics are written here. When I say about shaping of the earth crust, the chapter starts with a theory, right? Theory, that is plate tectonic. Tell me in the comment section that the theory is given by which personality, right? So when I talk about beta, plate tectonic theory, it actually tells us about the interior of the earth, right? Shaping of the earth crust means we know that the earth is not even, it have plains, it have plateaus, it have mountains. So the formation of the earth crust is how? Basically it depends upon what factors. So it depends upon the interior as well as the exteriors of the earth. So first we start with the interiors of the earth. This theory tells that beta, the earth crust was not a single, is not a single piece of land. Rather, it is divided or broken into plates. Those plates are floating over the magma, right? Magma, which is semi-liquid in state or molten state, semi-solid we can call it, right? So as it is floating, what is happening, beta? The boundaries are formed, because there are times when plates are converging with each other. There are times when plates are diverging with each other. Everything there is given in the first topic of the chapter, that is plate tectonics. Then here, the most important topic and the question for sure is going to come, that is write the difference between weathering and erosion. Write the difference what beta? Weathering and erosion. So we know that whenever there is breaking away of rocks at the same place, right, without being transported from one place to another, then that process is known as weathering. But with the help of the agent of gradation, when the broken sediments are transported from one place to another, then that process is known as what? Gradation. Right? What are those agents of gradation? Like running water, glacier, wind, waves, groundwater. In the chapter beta, in detail it is being told that what are the landforms formed basically by these agents of gradations like running water, which form delta, levees, waterfall, and many more like that, meander, oxbow lake, right? Similarly, when I talk about glaciers also, there are chicks being made. Okay. When I talk about wind, then wind, mushroom rocks are there, dunes are there, different forms of yardings that have been formed. So if we want to learn in detail, first of all, we have to read the NCERT. Second is NCERT line by line series have already been uploaded on the channel. My approach by uploading this video was to that you can get all the important topics of what all 9 chapters at a single place in a single PDF handwritten by me, where I can brief you all the topics in short so that you can revise it before the day you have the exam. The points to remember are, does India have the risk of earthquake? Yes, India do have the risk of earthquake because we are the part of Australian plate colliding with the Eurasian plate, and hence Himalayan mountains have been formed. The height of the Himalayas are still rising because of this issue, and hence we also have the risk of earthquake too. Ring of fire is a place where there is active movement of the plate tectonics in the Pacific Ocean, due to which there are frequent earthquakes and frequent volcanoes too. Like when I talk about Japan, it gets frequent earthquakes. Why? Because of this place, that is ring of fire, right? The chapter here ends with the natural disasters like landslides, avalanches, glacier lake outburst, flow, and the dust storm. So this is basically the timeline of the chapter which you have to do very nicely. Moving to the third chapter in the list, that is atmosphere and climate, chapter number 3. But in this chapter, atmosphere and climate, first we will start with composition of atmosphere. By this is something you're learning since childhood, that in the atmosphere is basically what? It is the blanket of air. It is the blanket of what Air in our surrounding. And that air is composed of what? It composed of different gases like nitrogen with 78%, oxygen with 71%, argon with 0.93%, carbon dioxide with 0.04%, others 0.03. Other than that, we have dust particles as well as water vapors in the atmosphere too. Right? When we look at the structure of atmosphere, there are layers above the layers. Like when we are close to the Earth's surface, right, we do not feel that we are lacking of oxygen, but as we reach to the peak of mountain or any of the heighted place, the oxygen there is not present. Why? Because this blanket of air, right, is divided into different layers. As we move from one layer to another, the differences can be easily traced. Like when I talk about troposphere, troposphere is basically the Earth's the layer that is closest to the Earth's surface and the first layer of atmosphere. You know that all the features, monsoonal features like formation of clouds, rainfall, okay, everything lies in this layer, that is troposphere. Now think about that. Can aeroplanes fly in this layer? No. Why? Clouds will come and distract their way. And hence, there is another layer, that is stratosphere, where the jets, where the airplanes usually fly. And you also know that ozone layer is also present in this layer. Then we have one more, that is mesosphere, middle layer basically it is. After that we have thermosphere, and the last, that is exosphere, which ultimately mix with the universe. Getting my point? So these are the layers of atmosphere. These are what, bacha? The layers of atmosphere. Now, in this chapter particularly, beta, very nicely, they have talked about the seasons in India. Acha, one strange thing, Indianized version of NCRT these are, right? And hence it says that there were 6 seasons according to the Indian ancient text. But as now the modern approach is there and the category is divided into 4 seasons: winter, summer, monsoon and post-monsoon. But now in your mind it might be running by summer season. Being in class 9, we know that by it is the hottest season. It is when the sun directly hits the Tropic of Cancer. Because of that there is high temperature. Whenever there is high temperature there will be low pressure. I'll tell you that also. So what is new about that, beta? What is new is about the monsoon and post-monsoon phenomena. The chapter in details tells us about that by India is a monsoonal climate type of country and how actually monsoon happens in India. ठीक है बेटा, there are certain factors of weather and climate. There are certain factors of what, beta? Weather and climate. Like, pay attention to that, right? India is a country through which Tropic of Cancer passes from between. And now if you are thinking, ma'am, we don't know about this, beta, your basics are not complete because this was taught in 6th and 7th class. And if you feel that you need to watch a detailed description video, go and watch please the one shots and the line by line NCRT sessions. But for now, let me tell you, the weather and climate is totally dependent upon temperature. Like India is a country, right, which is divided by Tropic of Cancer into 2 parts. You know that when the sun is there on Tropic of Cancer, direct heat is there. Okay, the sun provides direct heat, hence the temperature of the country is very high. The temperature of the country is very high. Don't you feel that it will affect us? Yes. Why? Because it also affects precipitation, humidity. Acha, what is humidity? The amount of water vapors in the atmosphere. But when temperature will be more, the water will be converted into water vapors more. Evaporation will be more. When evaporation will be more, the formation of clouds will be more and hence it will affect the precipitation. That means the process of rainfall too. Okay? Along with that, there is a concept that is atmospheric pressure. Beta, the gases that are present in the atmosphere, right, have a weight. They have a weight and they apply a pressure on the earth. But consider this point, beta, when there is high temperature, pay attention to it. Whenever there is high temperature, the warm air rises up. Acha, when the warm air rises up, the weight of the atmosphere that was lying on the earth reduces. And hence, beta, whenever there is high temperature, there is low atmospheric pressure. ठीक है? अच्छा, why to understand that? Because the condition of the pressure, atmospheric pressure, affects wind also. Now what is wind? Beta, moving air is known as wind. And now if you feel that the wind is moving randomly from one place to another, not at all. You know that the movement of the wind is always in a manner that it is moving from high pressure to low pressure. High pressure to what? Low pressure, right? So whenever there is high temperature on India, like there is summer season in India, the wind, the pressure becomes low. So hence winds start approaching towards India, moving towards India. And hence beta, just after the summer season, we get rainy season. Why? Because those winds, right, coming from high pressure to low pressure brings the water or moisture from the Indian Ocean and we get the rainfall. So the first place to experience rainfall in Indian Union is Andaman Nicobar and mainland India is Kerala, if you are aware about that. There are more concepts like carbon footprints. So beta, the amount of greenhouse gases emitted in the atmosphere is calculated as carbon footprints, and there is a what we can say study provided to us related to Punjab floods as well. Related to what, my dear students? Punjab flood as well. Moving to the next important chapter, that is 4th in number by history. This time is scaring us. And I know that you guys are also facing issue related to that. Why history is scaring us? Because up till now we were reading Russian Revolution, French Revolution. However, those were also long chapters, beta, but the very detailed lectures related to Indian ancient history is given to us for the very first time. And we are scared about it because it is lot to remember. Don't worry, we have these notes. So what is important in this chapter? First of all, what is history? By the study of the past events is known as history. Who is the father of history? Herodotus is the father of history. Right? Once we know about history now, the question that comes into our mind is, how do we actually know about history? But who came from the past and told us that this happened? No one, obviously. But there are different sources that tells us about history. One is archaeological sources, everything we find from digging the earth. Second is literary sources. But the big question is, what about when there was no writing, there was no speaking? Because when we go and see the early humans, why they don't know how to speak and how to write? What about that? Beta, so there are different phases of history. Actually, there was a time when we don't know writing, but yes, we find about that time with the help of archaeological sources, fossils, and the remains of humans. And after that, obviously through the help of writing. The big question is, why should we study history? To know about the human ancestors. And who were our ancestors? These are the ancestors. So basically, beta, we came from the ancestor of ours is basically ape. Right? From ape came the monkey and the humans. So when did the humans came? So hominid series started. Hominids mean the people who started behaving like humans, whose behavior started to be like humans, like Homo habilis, Homo erectus, Homo neanderthalensis, and then is Homo sapiens, the present day, who know actually about the technology too. When I talk about these, beta, Homo erectus were the one who stood upright, started walking, and even moved out of Africa. Why? Because the earlier humans evidence have been found in Africa, and Africa is considered to be as cradle of humankind. Okay? When we know about these humans, we got to know about their behavior also. Right? But the earlier behavior of humans was they were hunter and gatherer. They hunt the animals to feed their stomach and they gather the food. But don't you feel that to hunt the animals they need something like some tools, some implements? Yes. The earliest tools and implements were made up of stone, and hence we consider that age as Stone Age. We divide that Stone Age into Paleolithic Age, Old Stone Age, some around 2 million years ago. Then Mesolithic Age, 12,000 years ago. Here I am talking about India, by the way. Then Neolithic Age, that is New Stone Age, 7000 BCE. Chalcolithic. Now there are two words, chalco plus lithic here. Chalco means copper, lithic means stones. And yes, these were the humans who used copper as the first metal, that is copper. Okay, 5000 BC, and then the Bronze Age, the famous Bronze Age, which you know as Sindhu-Saraswati civilization, Indus Valley civilization, or Harappan civilization too. Acha bacha, there are certain features of these ages. Like when I talk about Paleolithic Age, these were the humans who were hunter-gatherers majorly. But you know, these are the humans who discovered fire accidentally. Mesolithic Age, these were the humans who, along with hunting and gathering, started animal husbandry, tamed the animals too. And Neolithic, why? These were the people who learned farming. One of the earliest sites from where the farming evidence have been found is Mehergarh. Comment down right now, where is Mehergarh? Okay, where is what? Mehergarh. Be active. Okay, then beta, a detailed description about Sindhu-Saraswati civilization is given in your chapter, like important sites, the features, the evidence, and one of the important feature about standard weight and measure. Standard weight and measure, which we get from the example of the bricks. The bricks used in the construction of the sites everywhere, they were with the help of same size. You know that they calculated it with the help of binary numbers like 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32. And that was crazy. The features we found there was eminent, like very good drainage system, closed drainage system, right? Grid pattern house were built. Basically, all the lanes connect with each other 90 degree. ठीक है, they were doing trade on precious metals and stones like lapis lazuli and many more things. So yes, this civilization was one of the greatest civilization in the world. But we have more civilization that is known as bronze civilization other than Indus Valley civilization in the world. And what are they? The first one is Mesopotamia. And where is Mesopotamia? You know, the present region of Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, right? Somewhere found the evidence of this Mesopotamian civilization. But every civilization is found near a river. Every civilization is found near a river, and this Mesopotamia civilization is found near the river Euphrates and Tigris, right? So, in this Mesopotamian civilization, it was developed in a way, one city after the other, one city after the other. The earlier ones were Sumerians, right? Then came Akkadians. When their power declined, came Assyrians, the shortest in tenure, and at last the Babylonians. We got to know about these people with the help of what they have written. You know that the type of script they followed was cuneiform script. Now, what is cuneiform script? For sure will be a question in your exam. Beta, it is a type of writing in which beta, the wedge shape stylus is used. The sharp wedge shape stylus is used, and it is written over the clay. Then that clay was sun dried to make it hard so that it can last long. You know, we also got something written in Indus Valley civilization, Sindhu Saraswati too, but the irony is we are not able to decipher it. That means we are not able to read it. Get it? Great. Now moving towards more like, Egyptian civilization, yes, on the bank of river Nile. ठीक है, script deciphered by Jean-Francois Champollion. We got the mummification, the mummies we used to see in the movies, the evidence of mummification over here, and the structure pyramids too. You know that this pyramid shows us that there was some power. At the top of the pyramids were usually someone powerful living. After that, there were members like kings and those who protect the ministers, those who basically protect the empire. After that, the lower layer belongs to traders, and then the lower layer belongs to the servants. So same as that, we have Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. The pyramids tells us this. Similarly, we have one more civilization, Chinese, Huang He, Yangtze. How do we know about Chinese civilization? Is with the help of the script we got there. And you know that they have written the logographic script. That means the words are written in the form of symbols. Like we need to draw a tree to show that this is a tree, etc. And this is all about the first chapter of history, but the second chapter of history even made me feel like, arey bhai, when it is going to end, everything is given here only. You know that it took around 2 to 3 pages to write in detail about this chapter, but I know that my students are going to be very happy seeing that, ma'am, this is very helpful. But I believe, beta, you also have to promise me that you are going to study SST very nicely, going to score very nicely. I don't want to hear from any student, ma'am, it was difficult, new NCRTs were launched, we were not having notes, but yeah, everything is being provided to you. ठीक है, चलो, coming back to this state and society वाला chapter. So why this chapter is difficult, beta? Because see, as after the Sindhu Saraswati civilization, right, we have seen that in the Indian society there was starting of a age that is known as Vedic age. That is known as what, beta? Vedic age. So copper, that means Chalcolithic age, then came the Bronze Age. But after this, humans got to know about the use of iron. And you know that iron is a strong metal, and it was very helpful for humans to cut the trees. As they got to know about cutting the trees, clearing the forest, from Indus region, they started moving towards Ganga region. When they started moving here, na beta, what happened now? The population is increasing, the climate is changing, right? And they are settling now because they know about farming. As they are settle, na, they are making small janas. Janas means group of people in the society, which is later converting into villages, villages converting into big kingdoms, and there might be some rulers too. So in a country large like India, beta, studying about that ruler itself will give you a very big chapter. So as we start from the Vedic age, beta, we got certain text for information about the Vedic age. The first among them is Rig Veda. Rig Veda, Samaved, Yajurved and Atharvaved. Basically, what is present in this Ved? Ved means knowledge. If you look at the Sanskrit meaning of the word Ved, it means the basket of knowledge. What is present here? So, beta, in the Rig Ved, right, there are hymns dedicated to the natural gods, like fire, right? Surya Bhagwan, like sun as a god. Okay? Then we have Brahma, not Brahmaji at that time, sorry. So it was like fire, water, air, everything, Vayu, right, was considered as a god. So hymns were dedicated to them. Now, when these hymns were sung in a musical connotation, like when you hear the Pandits, you will see a musical connotation. When they sing those mantras, it comes from Samved. We also perform certain rituals with the Yagya as well as practices. That comes from Yajurved, and Atharvaved tells us to ward off from the diseases as well as the negative energy. So these are the earliest texts from where we got to know about the society of the period starting from around 1000 BC. Starting from around, beta, 1000 BC, when there was iron started to be used. Other than the Vedic text, we have Samhitas, Aryankas, Brahmana, Upanishads. Like when Aryankas tells us about what? Aryanka tells us about the forest life. Vanprasth Jeevan. Like we know about the story of Ram Bhagwan, who spent 14 years in forest. So yes, Aryanka tells us about the forest life. Okay? The other text tells us about the philosophical concepts like Upanishads. You learned in classic Upanishads mean to sit near under a tree. And when there was dialogues, when there were discussions, the philosophical text are written as Upanishads. Okay? So this is about the information we get from. Now, how was the political system that time? When ma'am, you are telling the groups were getting, like, living with each other, getting bigger, there might be someone controlling them, ruling them. Yes. So initially, beta, it came to be known as Jana. Jana means people. When all those people started living together in the form of society, it was known as Jana. When the society enlarged, it became Janpad, and when it converted into kingdoms, big kingdoms, it is known as Mahajanpad. It is known as what, my dear students? Mahajanpad. Then let's talk about assemblies. Now, what are those assemblies, beta? So, to look after these Janpads and Mahajanpads, one Raja was appointed, the king was appointed. But you know that the strange part is that those Rajas, those kings work according to the advice given by these assemblies, like Sabha, Samhiti, Vidhata and Gana. Right? Now, coming towards Mahajanpad, beta, the Buddhist text and the Jaina text tells us about that there were 16 in numbers. 16 larger kingdoms were there. Okay? Among those 16 larger kingdoms, one of the most powerful became what, beta? Magad. In the starting days of Magad, it was ruled by a dynasty, that is Haryanka dynasty. There were popular rulers like Bimbisar. Okay? Then it was replaced by Shishunag dynasty. Shishunag was a real ruler who started this dynasty. Then there was Nanda dynasty, in which powerful ruler was Mahapadmananda. Right? Mahapadmananda. If you remember, the Alexander's invasion was during his time only. And then later we got Mauryan dynasty, beta. This Magad region became powerful in a way that started occupying other Mahajanpads. Right? Until the time Mauryan dynasty came, beta, the entire northern part of India, including present day Pakistan and Afghanistan, Kabul also, comes under this Mauryan dynasty. This Mauryan dynasty, even their control lied up to some parts of Deccan region. You know, in the Deccan region after Mauryan came one of the ruler, that is Satavahanas. Now ma'am, what about South India at that time? Beta, during this time na, in South India there was Tamilakam. Tamilakam means the states, the different rulers, and they were Chola, Chera, Pandya. Like Pandyas in Tamil Nadu, Cheras in Kerala, Cholas in Karnataka. So, Chola, the symbol of them was tiger, Chera, the symbol of them was bow, and the Pandya was the symbol fish. Getting my point? So, this was the political structure of India, right? In ancient times after iron came into use. Okay? After that, beta, like we know that Mauryan dynasty declined, then Guptas came, after that Vardhans came. So that detail is not provided to us. The political details is not provided to us in this chapter any furthermore. Rather, now they tells about the duties of the king, what actually this king was doing. The duties of the king is well defined to us in a textbook written by Kautilya as Arthashastra. Other than that, we have Shanti Parvara of Mahabharata 2. Mahabharata 2. Okay. Then comes Council of Minister. Obviously, by king alone cannot form the kingdom. King needs the advice of the Council of Ministers and needs some like ministers to work for the kingdom. The Saptanga theory of Kautilya tells us clearly, says that beta, one single king cannot turn the whole wheel. One single person cannot turn the whole wheel, and hence Saptanga theory is that it includes king, ministers, territory, fort, treasury and ally. All this is required for a kingdom to grow, to get the administration very, very stronger. Okay? All this was not done alone, beta. The kingdom was divided into provinces. The provinces were further divided into divisions. Like here some examples are given in the period of Satvahana, and in North India they were referred as, the kingdom was referred as Bhukti. Bhukti was further divided into Vishya, that is Bhoga, which is further divided into the smallest unit, Patana, that is village. Similarly, in South India, there was Mandala, Valanadu, further divided into Nadu. Nadu is the smallest unit, that is village. Okay? This is how the chapter starts, beta. The chapters also tells us about that. By to rule in a kingdom, right? To maintain law and order in the kingdom, to maintain ethics in the kingdom, the king needs to take certain decisions, but based on what? So the decisions were based upon the literature only, beta. Like Veda tells us about Satya and Rita, truth and righteousness. Similarly, Mahabharata tells us about Sambatva, Dharma. Dharma tells, what is Dharma? Right, the word dharma, which we misinterpret today as religion, you know, bacha, that means duty, obligations and righteousness. It means what? Duty, obligations and righteousness. Do you know about this? We will learn more about in this chapter. The chapter also includes Dhamma. Now, what is Dhamma, beta? It is totally different from Dharma. This concept Dhamma comes from Gautam Buddha and the parts of Buddhism. Basically, Dhamma tells us about what should be the behavior of a human, right? That we should not disrespect the elders. All the information related to that is provided in the Dhamma, the instructions given to human behavior. And it is totally different from religion, have no connection with religion. You know that to spread this idea of Dhamma, even the ministers were appointed by Raja Ashoka, that is Dhamma Mahamatyas. Okay? So in 10th century, in Uttar Merur pillar, we also know more about this law and order. Then one Kamandaka ki Niti Sa text also tells us about that. Banabhatta, who was the writer during the time of Harshvardhan's court, in Kadambari also writes about the ethics to be followed in the society. But how do the society looks like? So basically the society was divided on the basis of Varna. Okay? Varna where Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra exist. You know that in the earliest part of the society there was no Varna. The first written evidence of Varna is provided to us in Purusukta Rigvedic text, that is Purusukta. Okay? The book tells us that there was no tough differences of the Varna and all that, but we know there were. ठीक है, Brahmins used to study, Kshatriya used to fight for the nation, and the Vaishyas used the trading practices. However, Shudras were the servants. ठीक है, this Varna system, when further divided, led to the emergence of certain jatis. Right, to prove that beta, that there was social mobility, you know that social mobility, movement from one to another. To prove that, evidence is provided by history to us that in Mandsaur stone inscription. So Mandsaur is a place in Madhya Pradesh. It tells us that there were certain traders who moved from Gujarat to Madhya Pradesh, and they changed their practice of what we can say trade or activities. ठीक है, which clearly tells us that there was freedom and movement allowed to the people at that time. More information like that, Tolkappayam text, that is from Tamil Nadu, we got about that Arasar were referred as kings. There were Vanigar, who was a trader, Velar, who was a farmer. Even Antanar was referred as a Brahmin there. ठीक है, getting my point? Then more about family and society is given beta. The structure of family is in a way, the society is in a way that family becomes the unit of the kingdom, right? It becomes the smallest unit of the society, and that was referred as kul. ठीक है, when so many families live together, it becomes gram. Gram means village. When so many grams were collected, they were referred as Vishya, right? Who actually was in charge of this Vishya? Vishyapati. And then after that, large kingdom was created, Jana, who was ruled by Raja. In this state and society, the patrilineal structure has been followed. Structure means where the all the family rights are given to a men. ठीक है, we also believe in certain ashrams like Dharma, Arth, Kam or Moksha. Dharma, Arth, Kam and Moksha, and also about Shodasha Sanskar, that means 16 Sanskar, that is even the part of Hindu society right now. And a little more information by the end of the chapter, not the end, we have lot more to study, like role of women. If we look at the ancient text, earliest ancient text beta, so the women who were participating in the assemblies, there was no clear description or we can say discrimination among men and women largely. Right, we have seen certain women sage, Apala, Vishweshwara, Lopamudra, Ghosha, even the goddess, women goddess have been found like Usha and Aditi, right, goddess of dawn. ठीक है, then religious life was in a manner that by in the initial time, Vedic times, we used to worship in a way that fire was treated as a what we can say mediator between humans and God. ठीक है, so hymns were dedicated to fire in Rig Veda. Rituals were performed along with the hymns being recited. ठीक है, all those things are basically the part of yajna or yagya, what we call today. So all the natural forces were God like Vishnu, Shiva and Shakti. So initially beta, all the natural forces were God like Surya Bhagwan, Agni Bhagwan, Vayu Bhagwan. Later on there was like more what we can say dominance of the gods like Vishnu, Shiv and Shakti. One more concept is also seen, that is bhakti. So what is bhakti? Bhakti is the way by which we are remembering our God. You know, the earliest evidence of bhakti was seen where? In Mahabharata. Along with that beta, the later phases of bhakti was seen in South India, like Alvars, they used to worship Vishnu God, and that came to be known as Vaishnavism, right? The Nayanmars were worshipping Shiv Bhagwan, and it came to be known as Shaivism, etc. So yes, lot of details are there in this chapter, I know that. Now you might be thinking, ma'am, the only chapter is taking the maximum time. I know beta, don't worry about that. The NCERT line by line description is going to come for this chapter, and trust me, you're going to enjoy that. Now, quest for knowledge. So we know about Gurukul and Guru Siksha Parampara going on. One map work is there locating all the important universities of ancient times. Please locate them. Learn about these ancient texts, and then there is a lot of information provided to us for the economy, that how do people used to earn their agriculture land revenue, like 1/6 of the land revenue was taken, 1/6 of the total produce. ठीक है, irrigation, one example of irrigation facility. By agriculture cannot be possible without the help of irrigation. Canals, tanks, wells, even lake was made, Sudarshan Lake. So in the Ginnar inscription, it has been told that Chandragupta Maurya sent his officer Pushyagupta to make the what lake in Ginnar, that is Sudarshan Lake. Then we have trade routes. Beta, mark these also. The ports needs to be marked in the map work. So yes, this is the chapter all about. Moving to the 6th chapter in the line. Democracy. By everything right now you see in front of your screen is important from this chapter. The chapter starts with a brief definition of democracy. The democracy is basically what? When the leaders are elected by their what beta? People. By their people. The elected representatives comes from the people. But it is not a modern concept. We can trace the democratic principles in the ancient Indian history too. 3 concrete points will give you 3 marks. Here it is listed. Okay. Next important question, that is principles of democracy. Beta, all these are very, very important rule of law. That means who is sovereign here? Law is sovereign. Nobody is above the law. Everyone is equal before the law. There will be equal protection provided by the law to everyone. Popular sovereignty. Who is supreme? People of India. Fundamental rights. How many fundamental rights are there in number? 6 fundamental rights are there. Right to equality, right to freedom, right to religion, constitutional education right, right against exploitation, and right to constitutional remedies. Please go and learn the list of these rights today itself. Next is separation of powers. So by power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts the person absolutely, and hence we can't give power into a single hand for sure. So we divided the powers in 3 different what organs. Like we have the organs in the body, government do have the organs. Legislature, executive, judiciary. Multi-party system by India being the country with multiple ethnicity needs this party system. Safeguarding rights of vulnerable groups, beta, the DPSP, Directive Principles, tells us that we have to save the rights of the minorities too, right? Then the chapter talks about types of democracy. First, direct democracy. Direct democracy, when the people, will directly take the decision in the government. But don't you think that, beta, this type of democracy is quite impossible when the country have large number of population? Yes. So it is just existed in one country, that is Switzerland, which less population, where some questions, right, asked by the public in the form of referendum and the people give answer. But we are the part of indirect democracy, where we don't go and sit in the parliament every day. Rather, send our representatives, they take the decision on our behalf. So yes, in this type of also, beta, parliament representative type of democracy, there are 2 democracy existing in the world, parliamentary and presidential. The difference of this parliamentary and presidential type of system will come for sure. For how many marks in exam? By 5 marks for sure. It is going to come. Be prepared for that. Okay? Chalo. And then challenges to democracy also. From the chapter elections, again everything is provided to you over here. Like it starts with India's election machinery, electoral system. We follow 2 electoral system. First, past the post system for Lok Sabha and Vidhan Sabha. Proportional type of representation for president and vice president. The elections in India depends upon all the 3 laws that are listed here. Okay? Then, who actually performs the elections of India? Beta, the responsibility lies in the Election Commission of India. But our constitution contains one article, that is Article 82, right? Which makes a commission. What is that commission, beta? Delimitation Commission. So you might have always heard about a word, that is constituency. The area from where a person will be elected. Okay? Who decides that area? Who gives boundary to that area? Who decides that how many members are there in that area? Beta, this is the Delimitation Commission. Okay? This is a 5-marker question again. What are the functions of the Election Commission of India? Learn it today. Okay? It creates electoral roll, decides schedule and date, register political parties and give their symbols, ensure that the elections is held in free and fair manner or not. In one of the page of this chapter contains the app and their details. If you are thinking to skip it. Don't do that, right? Learn what actually these apps are made up of. Okay? Then the chapter talks about the role of political parties. Again, the pointers are here. What you will learn, why India follow a multi-party system, and about a law that is anti-defection law. Defection means you're moving from here to there. So when members move from one party to another after election, this is illegal, provided by this anti-defection law in 1985 by 52nd Constitutional Amendment Act. The chapter ends by telling us that, bhai, like you becomes the topper in the class. Sometimes you're categorized as average student in the class or sometimes as poor performer. What actually makes you a poor performer is your marks, your category. So here, beta, the political parties are also categorized as national political party or state political party according to their performance in the election. Learn those categories because that is very important type of question. So you know, we up till now ended all the important topics from history, from geography and from political science, moving towards the relaxed part of our SST, that is economics. I personally feel this one as easiest. And you know that the easiest chapter in the list is this, building blocks in economics. Quickly, we will see all the important topics, beta. The definition of market. So wherever there is trade-off between goods and capitals and there is flow of money is market. All depends upon the availability of resources. There are times when you want to buy both things, but you have to choose one because you don't have the available resource or money in your pocket. So beta, the value of what is not being chosen is known as opportunity cost. But here, sometimes the production possibility is shown like this. So, this is basically a curve, production possibility curve. It curve shows different combinations of goods produced using available resources, using all the available resources. The economics definition, very important. Economic entities are producers, consumers, bacha, government, as well as financial institutions. The major questions on which the economy depends upon: what to produce, how to produce, for whom to produce, and it is being answered differently in different countries. How they are answered differently in different countries? Beta, by their economic systems. USA being a developed country, you know, they follow a planned economic system. Plan means, sorry, I made a mistake. USA, being a developed country in the world, actually followed different system from the system we follow in India. So there are three different economic systems around the world. Planned economy. Someone is the central authority in planning for the nation. What is that someone? Planning Commission. Who follows this? USSR, North Korea and Cuba. Now see, North Korea, dictator it is, land resources and all the resources will be owned by whom? That government. Similarly, we have another one, that is market economy, which is actually affected by the market forces. What are the market forces? Demand and supply. All the decisions related to what to be produced, how much to be produced, for whom to be produced is taken not by the government, rather by the market. But yes, government is acting here as a referee because certain amount of control is required, otherwise everyone will be producing drugs. Okay, moving to the third one, that is mixture of both. What? Beta, planned and market, where public government means the government role is also there, as well as the private role is also there. We in India follow mixed economy. China, Germany, Sweden, all of them follow the same. The last chapter in the list is here, the price puzzle, and what actually drives the market. Here it is, my dear students. So, demand, supply, market equilibrium. Beta, the chapter talks about some principles like demand and supply. Demand, the quantity of product people are willing to buy. But whenever there will be high demand of a product in the market, the price will decline. When there is price increase, the demand of the product will decline. If some product is being sold in the market for 20 rupees, you will go and buy buy. Suddenly the price is hiked to 2000 rupees. Will you go and buy? No, the demand will decrease. So price hike, demand low. Price low, demand high. So there is an inverse relation between price and demand, right? There are certain other substituent or other determinants which actually define the demand, like substitute good. Okay, there might be a possibility you want to buy an iPhone but you are not able to because you don't have that money in the pocket. Then you will buy any of the Android substitute good of it. Complementary good. You actually want to drink coffee but it is expensive and hence you opted for tea. Okay? The complementary good. The demand of the tea will increase in the market. Why? Because the amount was less. Your income, taste, preference, seasonality. Like mangoes are more in demand in summer season rather than in winter season. So yes, all these are the factors defining the price of a product. Same goes with supply. Market equilibrium is a condition where demand is equals to supply. However, no such ideal condition exists. There are more topics like role of government in economy and limitations of government intervention in economy. Beta, the entire chapters of class 9th are well explained by me in the form of one-shots and in the form of line by line NCERT series. I hope that you guys are watching that and getting benefit out of it. All the best as your half-yearly exams are in near future, and I know that you are somewhere worried about SST, but don't worry, I will be there. These handmade notes are going to help you a lot. I know that. This video was not for just teaching you, for making you understand what actually all the topics mean here, right? As well as what are the important topics from the chapter and to access you these notes. In the description, I'm going to attach a link where you can direct access these notes. Okay, bye-bye. Take care, study hard, and don't worry, we are going to rock in exams together. Bye-bye.